I'm Torrie K and welcome to my channel, The Chocolate Cake Diet. At the start of this year, I was inspired to actually do the things that I said I was interested in doing. I'm one of those people that tends to write a lot of lists and make a lot of plans, but I rarely follow through. Or I'll pick something up and I'll get decently good at it and then I put it away. I decided to try to combat that with a sketch a day project. When I was younger, I used to really enjoy sketching. I used to call myself an artist, like most kids do, and I used to really have fun drawing and coming up with ideas. As I got older, I started having a problem with perfectionism. That meant that I would start drawing, and I wouldn't be satisfied with my picture, and I would just keep redrawing it until I got sick of it. I did take one art class when I was in college, and honestly, I was a nervous wreck the whole time. I did learn a couple of art skills, like shading, the basics of it at least. But after that, I just kind of sporadically would pick up sketching. I never really stuck with anything, and this year I decided that I was going to change that. And so I picked up the Sketch a Day journal, and I decided that I was going to do exactly that for 6 months. Originally it was a year, but at the end of the 6 months I realized that that was actually quite a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and take you through a little sketchbook tour, and you can see my work for yourself. Now don't judge harshly. I am a very, very beginning artist, and like I said, I've only drawn bits and pieces throughout my actual adult life. So let's go ahead and take a look. When I sketched this first picture of Goofy, my hand was trembling. That may sound ridiculous, but in the past, my perfectionism made drawing anything but fun. I would get so wrapped up trying to make it look perfect that I would keep drawing and redrawing the same lines over again. Making a simple picture would sometimes take me 4 hours. At the start of this challenge, I hated every second I spent drawing. That's because I had to constantly fight the tendency to second-guess myself and down myself for mistakes. I had to give myself a time frame to complete the sketch in, and I told myself I was not allowed to give up, no matter what. You see, even though I knew something about drawing, I had never stuck with it. Forcing myself to do a picture every day taught me so much self-discipline. Throughout this process, I also learned not to be too critical of myself, to accept the fact that sometimes I did work that I was less than proud of. Everyone has their off days, especially beginning artists. You'll notice smudging on some of these pages. That's because the paper in this book was made for journaling, not sketching. Real drawing paper has more grit, that way it can hold the graphite in its fibers. Unfortunately, I realized this when I was already deep into my challenge. I was worried that if I changed books, I would lose momentum. Not only did drawing a daily sketch teach me discipline and habit, but it also gave me confidence. If you pay attention to these drawings, you'll notice that my lines get more pronounced as I go along. That's because I became surer of my pencil marks and didn't have to erase so much. As I became comfortable in drawing, I realized that in some ways it's a mindfulness practice. In creating, you reach a state of flow mindset, and I would often lose track of the time entirely, which is why I often use timers. Sketching forces you to be fully present in the moment, to be only conscious of forming lines on your paper. You'll notice that most of the pictures I've drawn are from animation. That's because most cartoon characters are 2D. Since I was mainly interested in learning proportions, it wasn't important that the characters I drew had depth. However, I did play around with shading in a few of my sketches. Like I mentioned earlier, this sketchbook's main purpose was to get me into the practice of regular drawing, something I've never done before. In later books, I hope to start building my skills. I'm proud to say I got to the end of the 6 months. I'll admit sometimes I had to do 4 sketches a day to catch up on days I missed, but I did it. If it's not obvious how much I improved, let's revisit the Mickeys I drew my first week into the challenge versus the one I did toward the end of the challenge. Now it's noticeable, right? With only 15 sketches remaining, I couldn't stand it anymore and decided to graduate to a real sketchbook. The dating on my sketches get a little crazy at this part, but trust me, it's over 182 sketches total. I then started working on sketching for the pure fun of it, playing around with colors, shading, and techniques, as well as drawing more difficult characters. There are original drawings scattered here and there in my books, but I still have a long way to go before I can draw quality pictures for my head. That's part of the fun of learning though, right? Experimenting with things that work and don't. Sometimes I think people have the misconception that artists are driven by something very abstract, like inspiration or the muse or talent. The creation of art seems to happen by magic because you rarely see the practice that goes into building that gift. In reality, great artists train as much as Olympians to perfect their craft. You can see even from my beginner sketchbook that constant practice is a sure way to grow. You can start drawing at any age and skill level. Don't let yourself get intimidated by other creators. I would recommend a Sketch a Day challenge to anyone who wants to improve. And heck, it's also pretty fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I post weekly videos doing crafts, vlogs, and other fun videos. So if you're interested, please subscribe to my channel. I'll also link my social networks on the next slide, so be sure to check those out. Until next week, see you soon. Bye.